I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. Yesterday we started reading She Persisted, Ruby Bridges. This book is about our United States education system and a special little girl, Ruby Bridges, who integrated William Frantz Elementary School in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1960. We read about Ruby and her family's emotions surrounding testing into William Frantz Elementary School. We also read about the conditions that black people faced within the South during that time period. This is the book we're going to be reading today, all right, children? What do we notice about Ruby Bridges based upon the cover of the book? That's a good point. She's a girl. She Persisted, Ruby Bridges, written by Kekla Magoon. Ruby Bridges. Chapter 1. From the family farm to the big city. When Ruby Bridges was born in 1954, her parents brought her home, full of hope that their daughter would grow up in a better world than they had. Little did they know how big a role Ruby herself would play in building that better world. Ruby and her parents lived on her grandparents' farm in Tylertown, Mississippi. Who can tell me where Mississippi is? Right. It's down south. The family loved their land and they loved being together. I wonder what they're doing in this picture. What does it look like they're doing to you? Is it food? Are they going grocery shopping? I wonder what that experience was like in 1954. Farming was very challenging work. Everyone helped out, even young Ruby, as she grew. She visited her other grandparents' farm too. She and her cousins picked beans and cucumbers and helped with canning to preserve them. The Bridges family worked very hard, but they did not have enough money. Ruby's father tried to get another job to help support the family, but it was hard to find a business that would hire him. The United States of America was a difficult place for black people, like Ruby's family, to live. Mississippi was an especially hard place for a black family to live because of certain laws that affected black people. These laws enforced a system called segregation. Segregation is one of our buzzwords. Everybody goes, segregation laws kept black people and white people apart. They had to eat in separate restaurants and live in separate neighborhoods. At movie theaters, there was one door for white people and a separate door for black people. On every bus, there were separate seating sections for black people and white people. In the park, there was one drinking fountain for black people and another one for white people. Black children went to all black schools and white children went to all white schools. The worst part was the schools. Water fountains and seating areas for black people were not as nice as the ones for white people. This was very unfair. Black people felt angry and frustrated about the way they were being treated. But the country had been using segregation laws for a long time, and people were used to it. Some people were eager to see these laws change, but many others were afraid. When Ruby was 2 or 3 years old, running around on her grandparents' farm, she had no idea what segregation was. She did not know that people were going to treat her unfairly because of the color of her skin. She had never even spoken to a white person. She was happy in her all-black world. Ruby's parents knew all about segregation. They worried about Ruby's future. Ruby's parents did not know how to read or write because they hadn't been able to go to school. They wanted Ruby to have a chance to learn. They wanted her to have every opportunity that a white child might have. Who can tell me means, who can tell me what it means to have an opportunity? What does that mean? Ruby's parents knew all about segregation. They worried about Ruby's future. Ruby's parents did not know how to read or write because they hadn't been able to go to school. They wanted Ruby to have a chance to learn. They wanted her to have every opportunity that a white child might have. So they decided to leave their small Mississippi town and move to New Orleans, Louisiana. Ruby's parents believed that living in a big city would give Ruby a chance to go to a good school. Why? Well, in 1954, the year Ruby was born, something important had happened. The United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, heard a story about a black girl named Linda Brown who wanted to go to the best school in her city, which was an all-white school. After hearing her story, the Supreme Court decided that segregation laws were unfair because they stopped black children like Linda from going to the best schools. The court ordered schools across the country to integrate, which meant they needed to allow black and white students to attend the same schools. What does it mean to integrate? So if we know what segregation is, what does it mean to integrate? The court ordered schools across the country to integrate, which meant that they needed to allow black and white students to attend the same schools. Ruby was 4 years old when her family moved to New Orleans. It had also been 4 years since the Supreme Court ordered schools to integrate, but New Orleans schools were still segregated. Ruby had not started school yet, but she knew that she would start kindergarten soon. Her family moved into a 2-bedroom of a house in an all-black neighborhood. Do y'all know if y'all neighborhood is all black? Ruby had not started school yet, but she knew that she would start kindergarten soon. Her family moved into a two-bedroom of a house in an all-black neighborhood. Ruby and her three younger siblings shared a bedroom. She missed her grandparents and the farm, but she was able to visit them in the summer. My world in those days was comfortable and safe, Ruby said. She did not know that was about to change. So students, I'll go. We just read one chapter of She Persisted, Ruby Bridges. So who can tell me why was it important that Ruby and her family stayed in an all-black neighborhood? That's a good point. Okay, let's read chapter 2. An important test. Ruby did get to go to school in New Orleans. I wonder if Ruby's gonna be able to go to school in New Orleans or not. Based on how the last chapter ended, I don't know. Let's see. Let's read chapter 2. Chapter 2, an important test. Ruby did get to go to school in New Orleans, just like her parents had hoped. When she was 5 years old, she started kindergarten at Johnson Lockett Elementary School. It was an all-black school. Even though the Supreme Court had ordered schools to integrate, Louisiana was one of the several states that were very slow to change. Ruby loved kindergarten. She was good at school. She got high grades, she behaved well in class, and she made new friends. Toward the end of the school year, Ruby's mother told her that she was going to be taking a special test. One day, she and her mother got dressed up and went downtown. They rode the bus to the school board building. How many of you have ever rode the bus before? How was that experience for you? Ruby took the test, but she didn't have any idea why she was taking it. The truth was, New Orleans schools were finally going to be integrated. The test would help decide which black students would go to the all-white schools. The test was very hard on purpose. The white people who designed the test hoped it would be so hard that none of the black students would pass. But Ruby did pass. She was one of only 6 students who did. And so that summer, Ruby was invited to attend William Frantz Elementary School, an all-white school. There were several good things about William Frantz Elementary School. It was very close to Ruby's house, much closer than her old school had been. It was also known to be a very good school, better than her old school had been. And it would be the first time that a black student had gone to William Frantz. So Ruby would be a part of a much bigger change taking place across the country, a change known as the Civil Rights Movement. That's where we're going to stop for today, students. But I wonder what's going to happen when we learn more about the Civil Rights Movement and its importance to Ruby Bridges' story. We'll find out next time.